So this is our education series on markets. This is our fifth webinar from Ethical Advisors. In the past 4 webinars, we've dwelt upon protection and long-term tax-free planning, as you know. In case you guys have participated, thank you. In case you missed all the libraries on our website, which you can feel free to go and access and spread the word. We believe that sharing is caring, and we believe that knowledge is power. And we want to empower all of our audience here and their friends and family for their own financial well-being. So without much delay, I would like to welcome Anosh. Anosh is a bright young financial markets enthusiast. He's an avid follower of charts. He's an MBA aspirant and with NMIMS, which is one of India's leading institutes. And he is also, by passion, a content writer for financial blogs. He also has certified in technical charts, technical analysis, equity derivatives, and options. If you ask me what they are, to me, it's all Greek and Latin, to be honest. I have no clue. And hence, we are excited to welcome Anosh today on the show. Anosh, welcome. And
Yes.
do share your thoughts with us.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's really lovely to be here this afternoon.
Yes, pleasure all ours. Anosh, so let's, without delay, kickstart this webinar. And I'm sure we already have a lot of questions pouring in. So we would like to kickstart saying that equity markets is all about stock markets. What is your take on the stock markets today in 2020 as we stand? And what is the way forward?
Yes, that is a very valid place to start, of course, because it's on everyone's mind what has happened in 2020. No one has really seen it before. And I like to say that the stock markets have indeed behaved very, very strangely this year, an unprecedented manner. So without much delay, allow me to show you all a few charts to explain what I mean. I hope my screen is visible. Please, could you put it in the
Yes,
chat?
yes, yes, indeed. Yes, we
All
can
right.
see it. Go on.
So yes, why the 2020 market crash was different from previous ones. All right. So here is a chart of the Indian stock market. It's a historical chart of over 30 years split into two parts. So here we see the period of 1991 to about 2003, during which there was 3 major stock market crashes. Now, like we know, the markets do move up and down all the time, but these were some of the instances where the markets tanked very heavily. All right, so let's look at each one of them very quickly. The Harshad Mehta scam of 92, where the markets tanked over 53% in just about 12 months, so you can call it about a year. Then came the bond market crisis of 94, where the markets tanked about 41%, and it took a little less than 2 years. Then we see the dot-com bust of 2000, sorry, not 2020, 2000, where the markets halved once again in little less than 2 years. Moving on to 2008, which we know was the global financial crisis. This was the largest fall by magnitude, where the markets fell 65% in little less than a year. And the sovereign debt crisis of 2011, where the markets fell about 30% in roughly 15 months. Finally, the global equity sell-off of 2015, where the markets fell 25% in around a year. Right, so as we saw, these falls in magnitude were about 25 to 65%, and they lasted for about 1 to 2 years, if you can call it that. Now let's look at what happened in 2020. So this is the situation. The markets fell nearly 40%, and in just 2 months, which, as if you remember the previous slide, is a lot worse than anything we've seen in the past. And this is what it looked like on the daily charts. Now, as you can imagine, it doesn't matter how long someone has been in the markets, whether it's 20, 30 or 40 years. Nobody had any idea how to handle this kind of situation. It was pretty scary. If you can see, these 5 to 7% drops in a day were pretty much unprecedented. And this fear and volatility and uncertainty is what we want to capture over here. This is a chart of the India VIX. To put very simply, it is it's a sentiment measure of how volatile the markets are at any given time. Now, if you can see from a period of 2010 around when it was formulated till 2020, till 2019, it followed a normal range of about 10 to 20. In panic times when the markets were uncertain, it went in the range of 20 to 30 and made a high of around 40, but never breached above that high, which means the panic levels never went more than 40. And when we come to the 2020 high of 86.5, you can clearly see how paranoid and how scared and paralyzed investment professionals and the general market was, which is also captured in this fall. Right, but as we know, since then, things have gotten a lot better since March. And let's take a look at exactly when that happened. So this chart plots the India VIX versus the Nifty 50, which is India's benchmark index. If you can see, the Nifty made a bottom and the VIX made a top, which means that prices stopped falling and volatility stopped increasing on the 24th of March. Now, as everyone remembers very well, that is exactly the day that Prime Minister Modi announced the lockdown 1. You would wonder that with news getting worse and worse, and with an entire economy shutting down, locking down for an undefined amount of time, the stock market should crash, ideally speaking, crash more. However, that was not the case, because after 24th March, the markets have rallied 45% after an initial 40% fall. So what we see from this is simply that the markets, the prices do precede the news flow, and it's never the news flow that leads the market prices. At a time when we thought things are getting worse and worse is when the market started improving. Even today, as we see, there is no respite in the increase in COVID cases, but the markets seem to have forgotten about it. It's as if COVID is not a problem anymore, because prices always are forward looking. And what that means for investors is that if we were to wait for news flows to improve before entering the market or investing our money, we'd be entering at much higher levels.
I think it's very insightful and very well summarized. And I like your chart of falling wicks or falling volatility,
Right,
and stabilizing and rising markets. Look, markets will keep going up and down. So how do we time our entry? I mean, what do investors do? As you rightly said, take a contra approach. But so should we put all our money in now, or wait, or I mean, what do we do?
yes, you make an excellent point, because all these things, all these charts that we analyze, they look excellent in hindsight. They look very fancy to look at. But what do they mean for investors and traders? Take a look at this comic and everything will be very clear. Here is someone telling you in the late of March 2020 to invest in shares. You would tell them that they're crazy because we are entering a lockdown. Prices are falling like there's no tomorrow. And after the situation improves would be a better time for them to invest. Now let's look at any time after March, from where the markets have only gone up. The common argument to that is no, the markets have increased too much already. I'm expecting a fall now, and hence I shall abstain. And when the markets correct is when I will invest. What has that led to? Just like that, you've missed a 3,400 point Nifty rally, which is no small figure. Of course, catching every point of this rally is impossible even for the best. However, even half of this would have made you a lot of money.
That looks like me.
Right. So how best to tackle this, according to me, is to stagger your investments as per your risk appetite. To put in very layman terms, if you had 100 rupees to invest in the stock market, you could stagger that amount into 4 blocks of 20, 4 blocks of 25, 5 blocks of 20, or 3 blocks of 33.3. Which means you would be waiting for opportune moments to park your sums of money. How is that beneficial? It helps you participate in the equity upside while also retaining some of your cash to deploy at opportune moments. That would, in effect, improve your cost of acquisition and make it a more optimized entry point for you. Because as we saw, timing the market is almost impossible, right? And it also ensures that your risk is controlled and you ensure that you participate in the equity upside.
I think that's very well summarized. Fair. So if we assume that I have 100 rupees, I can do one third, one third, one third. Basically,
Correct.
invest one third, wait for the market, actually pray for the market to fall so that I put
Absolutely.
my next one third at a cheaper price. Okay, well
That's
done. So staggering is something which we should all remember. Staggering always helps you. It's more like a controlled SIP, and it helps you average cost if it's going down, which takes care of your fear factor. But if the markets actually turn up, you'll be happy. At least you have your toe in the game. You have your hand in the pie. Excellent. Can you help us just understand for this audience what are the concepts of? I mean, these are questions based on some of the Google forms you've sent. So one of our viewers is asking, what are the concepts of fundamental analysis and technical analysis? I mean, how are they different? I think it's a very valid question. And can you explain in simple terms what it
absolutely
means, for what it stands for?
right. So fundamental analysis always analyzes the business of the company. It looks at the management shareholder friendliness, the growth prospects of the business, the company's financial health, its P&L, balance sheet, and that sort of thing. While technical analysis deals only and only with the price of the share. It checks price movement and has nothing to do with the business of the company. They're two very different studies. However, as a combination, they can be very, very powerful. And I'd like to show why on the next slide. Here we have ITC, which is a share that has been a topic of debate for the past many years for the right and wrong reasons. As we know, it is every fundamental investor's darling stock. That you cannot not have it in your portfolio if you're a hardcore fundamental investor. However, if you see the price, the returns that this stock has offered over the initial 15 years, that is around 12 years, 2003 to 15, and then the subsequent returns from 2015 to 20, you see a vast divergence, which means that just because a stock is fundamentally good doesn't mean you'll make money in it. And that is something every investor should keep in mind, because just owning fundamentally good stocks, the idea of being in the market is to make money at the end of the day. So just being in fundamentally good stocks and not having any sense of entry or exit is not the best approach either. Hence, I believe a healthy mix of both these studies is the best way forward. And I hope that answers the question asked.
Yes, no, that's good. Very well made. Again, well summarized. And the chart of ITC says it all. I also remember my granny telling me that she owned Hindustan Lever for 40 years and she's rich. But then when I look back, for the last 10 years, it has done nothing. And only in the last 1 year, it is doubled. So you're right. One can say buy and forget. But at the end of the day, everybody wants to make money in his lifetime. And God bless my granny, she's no more. So, okay. Now, can you suggest some avenues thus that we did mention about equity investing and, you know, how the VIX has moved and how the valuations are attractive. So what are the avenues to participate in stock markets for a person who is, willing to participate in growth?
Sure. I'd like to categorize the avenues of investing into three broad heads. That is active investing, benchmarked investing, and budget investing. Let's take a look at each of these three. Active investing is the form of investing which seeks alpha, or to put in layman terms, outperformance over the general or the broad market. Here, if a person has the requisite skills and time to sit and study, analyze, and track businesses, they may directly buy a set of equity shares, as per their knowledge and as per their studies. If someone has a large capital of over 50 lakhs, that is after the new revised SEBI rule, they can even opt for the PMS route, in which a SEBI licensed professional can manage their equity investments for them. Then comes benchmarked investing. This is more of a laid back, lazy approach to investing, which seeks to only participate in the broad market growth. It does not seek any alpha, largely. ETFs which track indices or sectors are typically of this kind of approach, and mutual funds also largely fall under this category. And why I categorize them to be here is because in mutual funds, the fund manager's call is largely whether to be overweight or underweight a certain sector. Other than that, there's not much stock picking ability that they are allowed due to regulatory constraints, and hence ETFs and MFs I consider as benchmarked investing. Finally, we come to budget investing. Budget investing is a very revolutionary, tech-based, and very modern way of investing. And I believe it is revolutionary because it is bringing investing to the grassroots and to people with limited resources and not very high capital, as well as people who have the risk-taking ability. They would love to participate in the equity upside, but they do not have the time or they don't have the skills needed to study, analyze businesses, and take investment decisions themselves.
Okay, so what we're saying is there's active, there's benchmark and budget, and you did talk of it as a very revolutionary tool or a very revolutionary. Can you please, for the benefit of us all, throw some more light on this new and tech-driven investing, which even a common man looks like this is very similar to the acronym which was used by the Ministry of Aviation when they started the UDAN flights, the budget flights for connectivity, where they said every Indian can fly. Here it looks like every Indian can invest and invest intelligently. So yes, I think the audience is excited. So am I. Can you share some more light on this, please?
Certainly, yes. And it's a very good comparison. It is exactly like the Udan scheme. All right. So budget investing has been pioneered and brought in by a fintech company, fintech platform called Smallcase. Small cases, if we can call them that, are basically baskets or portfolios of stocks which are intelligently curated, and they behind those portfolios lies an underlying theme or idea. Right. Now, a very common comparison made is how is a small case any different from a mutual fund, because even mutual funds are essentially portfolios of stocks. Now, indeed, the same the advantages that small cases and portfolios and these small case portfolios share with mutual funds is that they are diversified over holding a single stock, which means you don't hold the risk of just one stock performing well or performing badly, and they are managed by SEBI licensed professionals and fund managers. However, mutual funds do come with a lot of restrictions. And let's see how small case tackles those restrictions and makes it a better option for investors. Firstly, the securities in a small case are directly owned by the investor, which means you do not hold the units of a fund, but rather you hold the shares directly, which makes them more transparent. Secondly, the small cases are absolutely customizable. In a mutual fund, as you all know, is not. If you don't like Axis Bank, but you are in a banking mutual fund, you cannot eliminate that Axis Bank. So that freedom is taken away from you. Small case offers you that freedom. Small cases are much more cost efficient, and I'll explain how. In any mutual fund, as you know, at the end of the day, whatever charges you pay are based on the sum of money that you invest. It's asset under management, that's AUM based fees that you pay to the mutual fund houses to manage your money. In small case, you pay a fixed subscription amount every year, which means you are in a sense paying for the research, and it does not matter if you invest 10,000, 10 lakhs or 10 crores. The amount you pay to your small case creator is fixed. And lastly, small case creators or small case money managers have a lot of freedom in stock picking, which allows them to be creative and be true to the ideas and themes that they choose for investment. In mutual funds, the same cannot be said because there are a lot of regulatory constraints on those fund managers. Like one of them is only 10 subcategories are allowed in equity mutual funds. That sort of thing makes small case a very interesting avenue, and that's all about small case. Yes.
Okay, so this looks like, no, this is very well summarized, and I would advise viewers, if you're interested, to take a picture of this slide that Anush has shown us. It looks like there is a small link at the bottom, which can also explain this better. Yeah, and of course, you can learn more about it as we go along. One word of caution, in case we drop out of this Zoom call, kindly reconnect using the same link that we have sent you, as we have a time constraint on this session. Anush, looks like this is a very revolutionary product. I think people would definitely like to know more. And so we will probably extend this conversation and focus a little more on this product. Could you, when you mentioned that fund managers in the mutual fund industry have constraints, can you talk to us about what one of our viewers is asking? So what are the kind of themes that can be imagined and offered through this platform? And first of all, what exactly is a theme, and why is it a more flexible compared to a mutual fund? Can you please help us understand with some live examples?
Sure. When we talk of a theme is basically an idea or a plan which attempts to catch on to a trend which may emerge in the future, or which the fund manager believes can create good wealth for investors. Now, a theme may not necessarily be restricted to a particular sector or a particular constrained set of stocks. A theme could be very wide and very broad based, as well as a very concentrated one, right? So I'd like to show you a few themes which I have been working on for a while along with my team. And it's something I'm very proud of, because we've spent night longs of research in picking stocks, studying the companies, checking stock prices, seeing how they move, seeing how they react to news, and the whole 9 yards. So allow me to quickly take you through some of these. Right. So far, we've come up with 6 of these, and very proudly, I like to call them my 6-pack, if that makes sense. 4 of these are
It's like Salman Khan, is it? Salman Khan 6-pack. So this is Anush's
exactly
6-pack. Okay, fair enough. Go on.
That's right. 4 of these are sectoral. That's the handpicked PSUs, the auto pack, the financial services, and the metals. And 2 of them are a different approach, which I will be covering in a bit. Let's move to the first one. Now, the handpicked PSU gems. Handpicked PSU gems is a small case which has been created keeping in mind that PSU companies, that is public sector undertaking companies, have been the dark horses of the stock market for quite a while now. They have been very big underperformers. They've been destroying wealth for a lot of investors, and hence they're looked down upon as bad picks or bad stock picks. However, when you look at the companies and their businesses, you'll find that these businesses are very rock solid. They have an absolute dominance in their respective sectors, a lot of them. They're highly profitable and they're highly dividend paying. Now, these kind of businesses are something that deep value investors would love to own, because we believe that intrinsic value, that is the value of their business, is indeed a lot higher than what the market value currently prescribes to them. Of course, they come with their own set of issues like sarkari interference and the whole that sort of thing, because they are government companies. But that being said, they still hold deep value for investors. Moving to the next one.
Okay. And just as a matter of caution, we have a 10-minute time limit after which we will all be logged out. So we will have to reconnect using the same link.
Yes, so viewers are advised to please reconnect using the same link. You just click on the same link or enter the same meeting ID password, and we'll be back if in case we drop out.
Yeah, go on.
Next, we've created a small case called the metal revival. This is once again a sectoral play. Metal stocks, as we know, and metals as a business also, is a very deep cyclical business. And right now, we believe we're at the absolute bottom of that cycle, because in the last 2 to 3 years, we've been seeing a slowing down of economic activity. And that has led the metal sector company stocks to crash greatly. And the valuations that they're available at and the kind of bounce they're attempting to make as of now, it seems that these can be a great bounce back play, which means you're betting on the economic revival, and hence you're betting on these companies' shares to do very well. Just a word of advice, all these slides are available on the website that I've also entered in the chat. So anyone wishing to look at them in more detail can do so. Now we come to the auto pack. As we know, the Indian auto industry is indeed very robust. Also, although it is kind of fraught with its own set of problems as of now, or for the last couple of years, which makes them great value picks for a recovery play as well. Also, I'd like to highlight that these, like I said, we have a lot of freedom in picking stocks when we create these portfolios ourselves, which means that these are not just the mainstream auto companies like Tata, Eicher, or those sort of companies that we're talking about, Bajaj Auto and Hero, everyone knows of those. Rather, we've deep dived into a lot of auto ancillary companies, a lot of tire companies, and picked a set which we believe is ideal. And that's how this small case has come to be. All right. So since we looked at the 4 sectors, now we come to the dependables. The dependables should be every fundamental investor's favorite because it consists of very high quality businesses with very solid long-term track records. Their managements are known to have been able to maneuver the businesses through very tough times. They're time tested and solid. Also, they're very profitable. However, in the recent market crash, there was an extreme valuation correction and they were available at mouth-watering valuations. That is how the dependables theme has come to being. This is for a slightly longer term investment horizon, and it's not exactly a buy and hold, but more of a combination between actively watching the prices of these shares and entering them at a good valuation and also booking profits when the time is opportune. Now we come to the resilient pack, which is in fact how we started out with small case. This was our first.
Sorry, Anuj, let me interrupt you here. For the benefit of audience, we probably will get logged out in the next 5 minutes. At the same time, quick question: can you guys see the resilient pack slide on your phones or on your screen? Does everybody?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, Modi, we can see.
Thank you. Anuj, carry on.
All right, yes. Sorry. So the resilient pack was created during the market crash, keeping in mind that investors do want a slightly less volatile place to park their investments at a time when the markets are crashing so hard. In this, we identified sectors which fall a lot less than the market. And this is a concept called relative strength, which means sectors which perform better than the market when the market is crashing. Those sectors which we initially identified were IT, pharma, and FMCG, which is fast-moving consumer goods. If you were to see the charts of these, which I've unfortunately not been able to enter, you'd see that they fell a lot less compared to the metals, the autos, and the financials. Right? So this was more of a safety play at the time, but it also bounced back equally quickly. And I'd like to show you how that came to be. So the blue line is a representation of the resilient pack. That is the small case that we've created. And the equity line, that's the yellow line, is how the broad market has performed. Equity in this case refers to the top 100 shares in the market. As you can see, the fall was a lot shallower than the benchmark. And the rebound was much more than the benchmark. It's a very easy pictorial representation. And here's how the resilient pack has fared versus equities as a whole, versus fixed deposits, and versus inflation. One more thing I'd like to highlight is that all these strategies that we've seen are a good healthy mix between the hardcore buy and hold fundamental strategy and the actively moving in and out of stocks technical. So, which means that we don't trade every day, we don't trade every week. But it is also important to monitor these investments, which I believe a lot of people do not have the time to do. Hence, this entire platform is ideal for them because it puts the hassle of monitoring your investments onto us. We take care of all of it, and we keep a good, healthy check on all of these investments that we do. We book profits or reduce weightage at an opportune time, just as a PMS manager would do. At the same time, we are not very aggressively trading to take undue risk or put your investments at risk. So that's
fantastic. If we just have a quick question on this slide, because we'll get kicked out of the meeting room shortly by Zoom. What this shows to me is that inflation was up about 4%.
Right.
If you kept your money in a fixed deposit, you probably earned a blended 6.7% thanks to falling interest rates now. If you had in a broad index, you probably made 8%. But this particular small case strategy, if you had bought it, I think this is a 3-year view, I guess. You would have made a compounded return of 18.5% per annum. So I think this very well summarizes the risk-reward relationship, and also the fact that you're not going to trade like a mad hatter and because trading, many people believe, at least I believe, is a zero-sum game. You make money, you lose money, and you have to be extremely on top of things. I'm not trying to badmouth trading as an activity, but it requires us not just skill sets, but also a bit of luck, and also continuous monitoring, literally hour to hour or minute to minute, which I don't think most of us here on this elite audience have, because we have our own businesses, our own professions, our own practices, and our own jobs, and of course our own wives to maintain. Okay, good. So I guess we probably will get kicked out. So we will just take a small pause here. Anush, thanks for this so far. And we will probably just recongregate once this is over. If you could just take us back to your slide, which shows the 3 types of investing. One of our viewers has a small question. The active, passive, and the budget. Can you just take us there, please? We'll address that as we are waiting to get kicked out. Yeah, that's the one. So one of our viewers from overseas, he's asking us, budget investing using customized baskets, how does it mitigate risk? So what is the budget investing you did mention, customized basket, but the sum total of it in quick, 30 seconds.
Sure. So like we know, just identifying a theme and identifying a stock within that theme is not sufficient. You need to diversify your risk over a set of stocks and create a healthy portfolio, a weighted portfolio, which is what a basket means. It means that the person who's created that basket has thought of something and has assigned certain weights to certain stocks and created an intelligent basket which lets you participate in the upside of that theme while also keeping the risk in check by not betting on just one single stock or just 1 or 2 stocks rather.
Okay, fine. Fair enough. Well explained. We will have Q&As at the end of it, at the end of Anush's presentation. If you have any questions, please do. I put it on the chat or just put it on the Google form sent to you earlier, and we shall try to. We already have a backlog, so we're trying to club all those questions and try to get a meaningful answer.
All right. There's a question from Ashish Gala. Hi. If we decide to sell off a part of our small case, can we do it? All right. So I'd like to explain that part of it. Every small case from our end, from the creator's end, is created on a basis of names of stocks and the weightages we assign to them. To keep it very simple, let's say there are 5 stocks that we choose and we assign weightages of 20 to each of them. Now the computer or the system itself creates a minimum investment amount of a sort and assigns that minimum investment value to that small case. What happens now is it does not allow you to invest anything less than that minimum investment amount, which means fractionally holding a small case is not possible. So say the minimum investment amount of a small case is 5,000. In that case, anything less than 5,000 is not permitted. And hence, to answer your question, selling off a part of the small case is not really possible to do. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, yes, Anush, looks pretty straightforward. So you've gone through some of your small cases and you also run us through a very good past track record of that, and we hope that our viewers take that benefit and also position themselves accordingly.
Right.
Hello, hi Anush, Aditi here.
Hi Aditi.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to, I have little lengthier question. So I thought
sorry,
of not typing, but
very sorry to interrupt you.
Fine?
Can we take the question at the end, please, if you don't mind?
Sure. I thought you're taking up fun.
No, we're just waiting for a few participants to join in. So I think we can continue now. Everyone seems to be in. So I'll take your question at the end.
Okay, cool. Sure. Thank you.
Yes, you can. However, viewers can post it on the chat window,
You're not audible,
which is at the bottom of the screen. Okay, can you guys hear me now?
If you could be a bit louder, it'll be better.
Okay. Viewers are requested to look at the chat window at the bottom of the screen. And if you have any questions, please post it there for now. We will take live questions at the end of the session. Yeah, so Anush, my next question to you was, how does small case work? We understand the 6-pack. We understand that, so does one buy all of them? Does one buy anything that you like? Is there a risk matrix attached to each of these? Because equity investing in shares is risky. So how would you categorize these 6 baskets that you have? And how does small case work? I mean, if I were to say put money in Resilient, how does
Right.
it work, practically speaking? Can you demonstrate that, please?
Of course. So the practical aspect of it is as to how exactly someone can go about investing in our small cases. I'd like to show through a small video, which will be played on screen now.
Have you ever realized investing requires market knowledge, detailed research, data sheet maintenance? More importantly, time? Finding it difficult to manage it all by yourself? What if you could directly invest in a ready-made portfolio of stocks and ETFs? So here you go. Get your first-hand opportunity to invest in small cases. Small cases are a basket of stocks and ETFs created and managed directly by experts. We are SEBI licensed professionals and have vast experience in the stock market. We do not take commission from brokers, but work on a transparent fee-only basis to act in your best interest. To invest in small cases created by us, here are your quick steps. Fill in your details and log in with your broker account. Complete your risk profiling and fill in the OTP to confirm your risk profile. Choose the small case. Choose a billing plan and subscribe to the small case of your choice. Congrats! You are subscribed to the small case. Once you're subscribed, you can check the stock weights carried in each small case and invest on the subscribed small case in just a click. Now that you are invested, track and manage seamlessly with a real-time index value inclusive of corporate actions and dividends. Invest in a disciplined manner by starting an SIP on your small case for every week, month, or quarter. Every small case is reviewed and updated on a regular basis to ensure the constituents of the small case continue to reflect the underlying idea and strategy. Well, as the video ends, it takes less than 5 minutes to transform yourself from a stressed investor to a confident one. It's time for you to gain a revolution in your investment experience.
This is brilliant.
Yes,
This is-
I
this is
believe the
brilliant.
video very crisply summarizes the practical part of investing in small case. And I hope the viewers could see that even rebalancing, that is buy or sell calls within the portfolios, are done very seamlessly. That is, you will receive an email from our end. And at one click, that portfolio change will happen on its own. The days of entering those trades yourself on your terminal are over. You don't really have to sit and enter each one or call your broker and tell him to do it for you. It's now it all happens with the click of just one button.
Can you summarize the steps that this video went through for the benefit of our viewers? Today, it looks like you need a broking account.
That's right.
If you don't have a broking account, how does it work?
All right. So firstly, there are a few large brokers which have already signed up with small case, and that if you have an account with any of these, then buying a small case is very, very easy. So this is the list of those brokers. If the audience wants, they can take a quick screenshot. However, for anyone who does not have an account with these brokers, these recognized brokers, it's a very simple online process to get onboarded, and we can help you with the same. It takes about half a day to do, including the waiting time. The effort from your end is minimal. It's an absolutely paperless process, and everything happens online. And we'd be very happy to help you with the same if you'd like.
Okay, so one of the viewers who is located outside India, he's an NRI. He's asking us, is this small case also accessible online to NRIs?
Well, as long as they have a broking account in place in India, it is, as you know, a tech platform. It is web-based, so you can access it sitting anywhere in the world. So indeed, yes, it is accessible there as well.
Right. Excellent. Anush, this was very helpful. At this point in time, we would like to throw open the floor and probably add Aditi, because she had a question. She's our first viewer who's going live. So Aditi, can you please go ahead with your question? We are throwing open the Q&A part for the benefit of our viewers.
Yeah, hi. I just had, I mean, it could be some misunderstanding. So, Anush, you just said at the beginning of the small case versus mutual funds.
Uh-huh.
So you said that we, in small case, we own that particular stock instead of a unit.
Correct.
But as the slides went by, I just happened to see that, I mean, if I start off with, say, 250 rupees, that is what you I mean, had mentioned, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
in 250, I mean, even if the bucket stands at 50 clips, right? How would I own any stock at rupees 250 is my question.
Sorry,
I mean,
you have
I wasn't
250
really clear
rupees.
on that part.
You have a
No, no, no.
250 rupees to invest.
I mean,
No,
I
no.
just go by the example that you had put in into your slide. So you said that in mutual funds we actually own a unit
Right,
of that particular basket, right?
right.
But in small cases, you mentioned that it's not a unit but the stock,
Correct. That's right.
correct? So if I select the say basket of 50 as you'd mentioned in that particular slide,
Mm-hmm.
that you said that it's a
Okay.
basket of 50, and yeah, I mean
Yeah.
I'm just a little confused on that particular thing.
Right, right. Okay. So I'll explain exactly again. Small cases, each small case by the system is assigned a minimum investment value. Let's look at this, for example. Now, as you can see, these 6 separate strategies, please focus on the minimum investment amount that is written in each of them. Here it's 7,000 and it goes as high as 1,37,000. This minimum investment amount is assigned by the system after taking into the consideration the weightages that we have assigned as creators to each of the stocks in these portfolios, right? So which means you can enter any amount greater than the minimum investment amount and it would allow the trades to go through. However, to take for example the auto pack, if you were to enter the amount as 1,30,000, it would reject your request saying that the minimum is 1,37,000. However, if you were to put 1,50,000, then the algorithm would adjust it slightly. So instead of 1,50,000, it could make it 1,52,000 or 1,48,000 and let your trades go through in the same weightages that we've assigned. That's how small case works.
Anuj, I think the question is there is confusion between the minimum investment amount and the minimum subscription amount.
Okay.
That was Aditi's
Right.
question. So can you just throw light on that? Just
Right,
open
right.
any one of the packs and show how the subscription part is different from the. Yeah, that's
Sure.
one.
All right, all right. Sorry, I misunderstood your question. The subscription amount, the minimum subscription amount, is in effect that the fees that you pay to the small case creator for managing your money. It's similar to what you pay in the AUMs, the AUM based charge in the mutual funds. So that is our fees which we collect to manage the money. That is the minimum subscription amount. And the minimum investment amount is the minimum amount you must park in these strategies. That's the difference between the two. I hope that
Okay.
addressed the question.
Yes.
Aditi?
Yes. Yes.
All right, great.
I guess so. Just to throw light on this product, as that video showed, you need a broking account, which one can easily set up even in these COVID times without paper. Second is that after you set up your broking account with either Kotak, HDFC, whatever, you need to then enter and subscribe to Showcase, small case, sorry, and then you choose your subscription plan. How long do you want that advice? Do you want it for a month? Do you want it for 6 months? Do you want it for a year? So the subscription plans are up to you. The longer you choose, the more better it is for you. Even if you have a kind of a medium-term call to take on that portfolio. If you have a longer-term call, it's an annual subscription. You pay that fee, you get daily updates. I mean, you get your regular updates. The portfolio is managed, and the portfolio churn, that is the buying and selling, is automated and sent to you through the email route. So once your setup is done and your subscription is in place, then depending on the plan that you choose, monthly, annual, quarterly, you will get that service. You can, of course, if you've taken a monthly or a quarterly plan, you can also restart and go for a longer plan. Typically, whatever clients have onboarded, they've gone for either a half yearly or an annual plan. So that makes sense. This is, again, as Anuj said, not a day trading platform. That this is not something which a churn will be done just to keep the portfolio, bouncy. This is not something which is in that genre. This is a hardcore portfolio-based approach with a near to medium-term view and with an active portfolio management strategy. And each strategy carries its own, the cost of the strategy is the same across strategies, but the portfolio composition, Anush, just take us back to the six-pack slide, and
Sure.
that will be explained better. So if you have, let's say, 5 lakh rupees, you can allocate it between 3 or 4 of them. If you have only 2 lakh rupees, you can pick and choose. So choose the minimum amount, investment amount, and you can pick a theme and you can go with that. For example, if you have only
Absolutely.
10,000 rupees in mind, so you can easily go for the metal pack because the minimum amount there is 7,100 or so at current prices. This will keep changing, of course. This is a daily refreshed amount depending on how the stocks move. So, I think that's something which is to be understood from this slide. If you have only 50,000, you can pick one hand-picked PSU gems and maybe a couple of metals packs. That's something which is to be understood.
That is correct. Absolutely right.
Aditi, hope that is clear.
Right. There is a question. As you mentioned, update means wherein my shares can change as per my best interest. The churning of my shares in my portfolio is automated, or do I get to call it an update? All right. So answering Ashish Gala's question, the update, or like we call it, the rebalance of the portfolio, is decided by your small case creator. That would be us in effect. And when we decide that the portfolio needs a tweak, it may be in a week, in a month, or at whatever opportune time, that would arrive to you in the form of an email notification that your small case creator ethical advisors has offered a small case rebalance. With the click of a single button, that rebalance is executed and all the changes in the composition of the portfolio happens automatically. And that's how the shares are churned. Another question.
Mahesh, I hope that is clear. Sorry, Ashish, I hope that's clear. And just to add, the advisory part is what the small case does. The small case ethical advisors platform has no access directly to your trading or a demat account. It is your complete secure platform. It is up to you whether you want to accept the changes that have been recommended or not. And clearly, it is for you whether you want to act on it or not. And you are the authorizing person. You have complete control. So much so that in case you bought a portfolio in the next 3 months, it has gone up 20, 30%. You feel you want to take the money out, even literally next day. You can do it because the entire control on the demat account and the broking account lies with you. You have to log in to even click and accept our changes. I hope that's clear. If not, please do feel free to put your questions in chat or raise your hand. And yes, I think we can move on to Mahesh.
Yes, Mr. Mahesh's question is that, is there any pack for high dividend yield stocks and how much return can be expected in such stocks? Of course, while there is a pack like that, which is called the handpicked PSU gems, because like we know, they are the aristocrats in paying dividend, and that is undoubted in any aspect. However, the return that can be expected is something I would not like to comment on this particular pack for the sole reason that this is a deep value play, like I earlier mentioned, and value discovery can take a very long time indeed. So this is more intended for the patient investors who don't mind sitting on their investments and enjoying the dividends while waiting for the value discovery to eventually occur. I hope that addresses the question.
Yes. Can you just open the handpicked PSU gems file again, please? That
Yes,
is, we can probably explain in greater detail.
Certainly. There we go.
This pack, as Anush and team have created, and whatever little I understand from it, there are different types of public sector units where you have banks, you have manufacturing companies. You also buy, you may be surprised, you also have defense stocks like Hindustan Aeronautics and Bharat Dynamics. So there are hundreds of public sector units which have been listed since 1950s or 60s, some of them. It also includes State Bank of India and BOB, PNB, etc. This pack, as I understand, has been handcrafted to look specifically at low debt. So PSUs which have less debt on their books, they're pretty nimble. They operate in certain dominant franchises like coal mining, iron ore mining. You also have the defense stocks. These are companies which either have monopolies or deemed monopolies by the strategic nature of their businesses, some of which could be open for privatization. I mean, we all have, if you are an avid CNBC watcher, you have seen Bharat Petroleum, BPCL. BPCL is India's, and HPCL and IOC we go and pick up our fuel from there. But do you know that the intrinsic value of HPCL and BPCL is far, far, far greater than their current market value? These are, of course, they operate in tough times right now because the demand is low. But if, let's say, a foreign player were to enter India's oil and gas sector, as you've seen, Reliance has raised $22 billion in just 2 months in its core telecom business. The whole world is looking at India. The whole world is looking at the demand story. And they are not stock market investors, looking at 1 or 2 year returns. They are looking at investing for the next decade. For Maruti, for example, when Suzuki came in the 1980s, Maruti, they have seen the value creation. Today, Maruti's market cap is significantly higher than its own parent. So these are the kind of strategic investors who may be looking to acquire stakes. So far, the government or the past governments have been a little shy to throwing open strategic sectors like airlines or refineries. But now, I think the current regime is pretty clear. They need to not be in business. The government's business is not to be in businesses. I think that is a very powerful theme again, which can be played through the PSU GEMS portfolio. Here, the stock selection has been done to look at certain stocks which throw cash, almost like an FMCG company. If you were to study their past track records, dividend yields of more than 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10%. Again, literally almost tax-free if you were to play that. And all those with dominant franchises have been picked up. Again, to reflect, one more viewer has put in a private chat, these dividends, whom do they belong to? Obviously, they belong to you, because whatever stocks are held in your demat are eligible for those dividends. So that dividend will not be captured in the performance here, or it may be, Anush, correct me if I'm wrong.
It is
but
captured.
The absolute price performance, it is captured. So while we cannot predict, and we are not allowed to predict future returns by SEBI guidelines, you can fairly be certain that you are buying businesses as if you are running that refinery. Or one case in point is that the Bharat Dynamics and the Hindustan Aeronautics stock, since entering our PSU GEMS basket, are up 35 to 40% in less than 2 months. Now, is it even remotely possible for a doctor or for a chartered accountant or for an engineer or a businessman to keep track of these price moves and buy the stock through his broker? No. But if he had this PSU GEMS basket, he would have definitely seen the returns.
Right.
I hope that answers the question that Mahesh.
That was very,
Mahesh?
very well put. I couldn't have put it better myself. Very well answered. Thank you.
There's another question from Mahesh. Anush, if you want to take.
Yes, government papers. No, unfortunately, this platform does not offer buying or selling of debt investments directly. However, we can also help you from that. If you're interested, you can always contact us directly. So through this platform, the answer is no. However, we can also help you with that. Sure.
Any further questions? Now is the time to put on chat or raise your hand.
Right. I think everyone has asked their questions.
No, there are a couple of, just one sec, on the private chat, I'm just getting at some questions on, there's a person who's asking, what happens if I don't want to hold if I subscribe to a pack for 6 months and I want to sell it within 1 month, can I do it? And how do I contact Small Case, or do I do it on my own? So could you just take that, please?
Sure. So like we said, execution lies entirely with the investor. If he wishes to withdraw his money even the next day after investing it, that call is absolutely his, and he can do it at his end seamlessly. There is no worry in that case.
One more question popping up. Can I do an SIP in any one or two or three of these baskets?
Absolutely, yes. You can certainly do an SIP in any of these packs, but please keep in mind that the minimum investment amount might change month on month. So if a particular basket does very well, then your next month's SIP will be, say, 10% higher than what you put the month previously. So the minimum investment amount is what you have to pump in minimum each time you want to buy that basket. And in the if you want that to be in the form of an SIP on a fixed date every month, then that is absolutely your call. Can be done.
So a follow-on question is, can we automate it, or do I have to do it on my own?
It will be automated. It will be just like your mutual fund SIPs, which means that the amount will get debited from your account and the shares credited to your account, just like it happens in mutual funds.
Again, question, a bunch of questions here on the practicalities. Somebody says, I have an account with a trading account with HDFC, but my bank account is with Axis. How does it work? I mean, will it work, or do I need to open common accounts?
Right.
What would you recommend?
All right. So if the viewers remember, our HDFC is in fact one of the recognized small case recognized brokers, which means having an HDFC Securities trading account suffices for you to participate in small case. There's no problem. Bank account is it's not a problem as long as your broker and your trading account lies with one of these recognized brokers. You're good to go.
Very interesting question. In COVID times, there is a lot of paperwork to set up a new account. But
Right.
in COVID times, where can we go and whom should we contact in case we're interested? And without a so the follow-on question to that again is, do we necessarily need a broking account to access your website? I mean, your ideas, or can we do it without a broking account?
All right. To take the second question first, you certainly do need a broking account as well as you do as a trading account with one of the recognized brokers. And as to how to go about opening one of those and who to contact, of course, you contact us. And we can help you set it up very seamlessly, very easily, and absolutely online without any form of paperwork.
Excellent. One more question from Mr. Chaudhary. What is the beta of these portfolios? Do you have any? I mean, you've tracked of them. You have kept track of them on the performance. But is there any way we can share the beta of these 6 packs?
I do not believe we have an exact figure for the beta, but we can say with certainty that the resilient pack and the dependables are slightly lower beta than the individual sectoral ones, because those are, as you can expect, rather bouncy in nature and react a lot more with the market moves, whereas the resilient and the dependables are more sturdy.
Yeah. One more question is, sorry, Mr. Chaudhary, I hope that answers your question. If you have any further questions, feel free to put it on the chat. One question is, there are different types of stocks for different types of people.
Mm-hmm.
I am conservative. I want to protect capital. Somebody may be aggressive. So how does your, in this 6-pack, how would you categorize and how would one select? Some people may have a 6-month view. Some people may have a 6-year view.
Right.
So in your case, what would you put your finger on?
All right. So as is visible on the screen, there are tags next to each of these strategies that say moderate risk or high risk. Now, for someone who is rather conservative, they'd be a lot better off in the less bouncy and the less risky strategies. Also, while signing up for small case, it does, if you saw in the video, it takes you through an automatic risk profiler, which if you answer the questions honestly, will tell you your risk profile and what risk profile is ideal for you in these small cases. As far as view goes, we believe that PSU gems and the dependables are more long-term. They are good for a 2.5 to 5 year view. The metal, auto, and financial services power pack are more of economic rebound stories. So when the economy starts performing well, we can expect great upside in these strategies. And the resilient pack is more an actively based, semi-momentum based portfolio, which chooses stocks and companies which do not fall hard or as hard as the market when there are times of trouble. And also when the rebound comes, the short-term rebound, this pack performs really well. And like I showed you all, that's very evident on its performance chart. So that covers the timeline and the risk profile of each of these portfolios. We have a few others in the works, which we are working on right now. So stay tuned for those. Do keep checking our website and our updates for when those are out.
Very thanks, Anush. A very close friend of mine in his jest is saying, first of all, congratulating us, you, on this presentation, most
you.
importantly. He's also taking a dive at you, saying that this looks like I'm going to marry someone and you're only showing me the possible candidates in a wheel. So it's not enough to see a dependable or a resilient or whatever. He is saying, why don't you share at least a few names per portfolio, maybe 3-4 names, just to give him a flavor of which bride he should choose.
Sure.
So if you can just take us back to your each slide or your main slide and just share a few names to give an example and comfort. So let's start with the dependables. Again, we may run out of time, 7 minutes to go, so we need to be quick.
All right, I'll be very quick with this one. Like I said, the dependables are all fundamentally very solid companies. So we do have our HDFC, ITC, Larsen and Toubro Tech, LTI, and those sort of names in it. Metals
Sorry, you were cracking up. Can you please repeat the names again?
Sure. So the dependables being a very fundamentally sound basket, we have names like Marico, HDFC Limited, ITC, Larsen and Toubro Tech, to name a few. For metals, our top holdings are Ratnamani Metals and Midani, that's Mishra Dhatu Nigam Limited. Along with, of course, Coal India and MDC and the works. The Resilient Pack is it's a much more dynamic play. So there are some interesting pharma names like Torrent Pharma, Ipca Labs, as well as TCS and Infosys, which did phenomenally for us in the last week. If you saw their performance, you'd know. We were very happy because they do belong in our Resilient Pack. Coming to the hand-picked PSU gems, it's a healthy mix across sectors. So you can say there are defense stocks, there are coal mining stocks, there are a few banks, and that's about it. Coming to AutoPack, I think in AutoPack, our stock selection is the most exciting and interesting because we've really deep dived into the hundreds of auto ancillary companies. I'm sure many of us don't even know the names of some of them. Munjal Showa, for example, I didn't know what it was until I started studying that sector and shortlisting companies based on various criteria. There are also tire companies like Balkrishna and Seat. Of course, the main auto players are always there, Tata, Bajaj Auto, Hero MotoCorp. All those are present. But the auto ancillary companies also hold a significant weightage. And the reason for that is we believe they are leveraged plays on the auto industry, which means when the auto industry itself does well, more than the auto companies, the auto anch companies are going to do really, really well. However, allocating unduly high amounts is also not possible, which is why a cleverly created basket of these names is the best way forward. And finally,
AutoPack is called Stepping Up the Gear. And yes, you rightly summarized, and I have subscribed to it myself. And I will also let in one more secret, which besides what you said, so that my friend is happy seeing the bride head to toe. There is also, as I realized, an auto finance company which you put in. So basically what you've created is when the auto industry, not just plain Tata Motors or Maruti's bounce back,
right.
Even the ancillaries and even the very well reputed financer, and which belongs to a very reputed group, they also will be, the person will benefit from buying that stock in this pack. So yeah,
absolutely. Thank you for highlighting this, because this again reiterates the fact that I said that these small cases do not have any constraints in the stock picking, which allows us creators a lot of freedom in choosing themes as a whole and allowing us to play an entire story rather than just a particular sector. So that's a very, very good point there. Yeah.
And your last, financial services power pack?
And the financial services power pack, of course. Once again, this is a healthy mix of banks, NBFCs, life and general insurance companies, of course, all fundamentally very sound, great franchises, fantastic brands, many of them market leaders as well. And financials, as we know, are the backbone of any economy. You cannot have an economy doing well while its financials are in trouble. So this is a great package as well, and cleverly chosen. We've avoided any dubious or any doubtful fundamental companies, and that's how we've created it.
Names, please.
Well, of course, we have the Bajaj twins, we have HDFC. We also have a couple of small finance banks. We have life insurers like SBI and HDFC Life, and a few general insurance like Lombard.
Fantastic. I think my friend is happy. He's shown me a thumbs up. You're all good. Friends, again, thank you so much for being part of this. Thanks for your time. Anush, it was very insightful. So we thank you for sharing your thoughts. We thank you for sharing your energy and also highlighting a very interesting product which is revolutionary, helps every Indian fly into the stock market in a controlled way, and also can be SIP'd or staggered. So I think with all these best practices, I think our viewers will definitely be able to participate in a controlled manner. Also, one more point to note here, that all these portfolios are actively monitored, and there will be cases where good stocks which have performed well, where the calls have gone right, will be cut down. Just like a wise farmer never lets all the mangoes ripen and then fall off the branch. It will definitely be plucked at the right time in a controlled manner and will be replaced with new crop. The same thing is actively managed small case portfolio. If there are any questions or if there are any queries further than that, Anush, can you please take us to the last slide?
Sure.
This is our contact details. We will be very happy to engage. We have a contact us page. You can reach us on WhatsApp on the number which is displayed on the screen, and also on our website there is a contact us page. We have our email address. We'll be very happy to guide and take it forward. Again, small cases is one of the offerings. Anush, you could take us to one slide prior. We are in the business of three verticals: wealth management, protection, and legacy planning. We do a whole host of things which is displayed on the screen. You may want to take a snapshot, and we will be very happy to be your friends and advisors for life. This is Ethical Advisors signing off. Again, thank you everybody. Thanks, Anush.
Great. It was really lovely to be here. I thoroughly enjoyed my Sunday morning. Thank you very much.
Yes, and we look forward to holding many more market talks with you. So keep it
Sure.
coming. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
See you soon.
See you guys. Bye-bye.